welcome to our daily Forex market analysis and trading on April the 2nd, 2020. I'm right here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So in terms of our news that we had today, first of all, we saw that ADP non-farm payroll numbers actually came in above expectations here. Now, usually this is considered a precursor to the actual non-farm payroll numbers, but sometimes they do differ. So now, if the non-farm payroll numbers come in below expectations, then we are likely to see a drop in the US dollar. But for now, these numbers were good. And also the PMI numbers here were good as well. So it looks like all those numbers have not, or everything that's going on with the virus has not quite filtered into the data just yet. And coming up on Thursday here, we have unemployment claims here. Other than that, we have trade balance numbers for Canada. So Canadian dollar has been all over the place because of the issues we are seeing with oils now. And then here we have 3,500, so 3.5 million applications here for unemployment claims. So we saw that the ADP non-farm payroll numbers came in better than expected. So if these come in better than expected as well, US dollar can strengthen on that. And then of course we have the trade balance numbers. So they are expected to be better as well. But again, if they decline, that would be negative for the US dollar. And we also have PMI numbers here for China. And if these numbers are below expectations, then we are looking at weakness in New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar as a result of that. So overall, not a ton of data for Thursday here. Let's move on to our chart. So we'll start off with euro dollar as usual. So here we see that price did decline here today, and now we do have a bearish candle close. But as we can see, we've been getting these pins to the downside here, so we do need to be careful. So right now, bias is still to the downside, and in this case, we could get a pullback potentially into 1.10, and then a drop if it holds below this number. Now, on the flip side, though, we have to be careful because price is into support and we've been getting all these pins on the downside. If price holds above this level at 1.0900, now it can reverse. So that's the only thing we have to be mindful of. So overall bias is bearish, but if we see that price runs into trouble here or struggles dropping below 1.09, we could see it reverse. So watch out for that. But otherwise, looking for a further decline here in terms of our target, 1.0850 will be the first one. And then if it drops below that, we are looking at 1.0820. So bias is bearish, but again, we have to be cautious at the support level here. Pound dollar here, this one, we did see a drop here, but as we can see, our low is higher than the previous low. So this one as well, we do need to be cautious. But as we can see, we are seeing a lower high. So bias is to the downside. And in this case, our first target would be 1.2230, which is the bottom of this support here. And then next target would be 1.2130. So bias here is bearish for pound dollar. But same thing applies here as well. So if we see that price does not drop below 2300, we could see it go back up. So that's something we have to be mindful of. And if we take a look at the 1 hour, we see that price is just going sideways here. So in this case, I am looking for price to drop, but let's say price does not drop below this level, which is 1.23, then we could get a further move to the upside because this would be our this will be our bullish flag here, and we could see price go further. So that's why this level at 1.2300 is very important. So right now, bias is to the downside, but with caution on pound dollar as well. Aussie dollar here, we had a nice bearish candle close here. Bias is to the downside. we could get a pullback into 0.6100 and then looking for a further drop here. And our first target is 1.5980, and then we have 0.5980 and then 0.5870. So bias is bearish here for Aussie dollar, and this is the type of move that I would be looking for. Next, we have New Zealand dollar here. We do see a drop here as well. We have a nice bearish candle close, but for this one as well, we have to be careful because price has not closed below this 0.5900 level. So that's something we have to be mindful of. If price does not drop below this level, we could see a further move to the upside. So watch out for that. But for now, bias is bearish, and once we see that price holds below this 0.5900, I will look for a further move to the downside. In this case, the first target is 0.5780, and then below that, we are looking at 0.5940 or even, 0.5740 or 0.5700. So bias here is bearish, but with caution, we have to keep an eye on the support at 0.5900, because if it doesn't break it, chances are it goes higher. Dollar CAD here, this one has been trading in a range. Yesterday, we saw that price went up right into the resistance here, and now it hasn't broken the resistance. So I am neutral on this. We see for the last several days, prices tried to drop. It couldn't hold. It tried to go through. It couldn't hold. So this one is range bound. So in this case, I would look for a potential retest of the high at 1.4280. If it holds below, I'm looking for a move to the downside. Now, should it go through, then I will look for a further move to the upside here. And first target here would be 1.4350. And then potentially we could see price go higher into 1.4480. But the test here would be 1.4280. If it holds below, then chances are we'll see price come back towards the bottom of the range at 1.40. So right now, bias is neutral for dollar CAD. Let's take a look at our commodities now. Starting off with silver. Price came into the support level, but hasn't managed to break through this one. Overall, we are still getting lower highs, so bias is still to the downside, but with caution here, because if it does not get to 1380, we are going to see a reversal then. But for now, looks like it does have pressure to the downside. So we need to see price clear this 1380 level, and then we could get a further move to the downside. In this case, the first target is 13.20. And if it manages to get through that, we're looking at 12.80. So for now, bias is bearish, but with caution. Gold here. Gold has actually gone up. It did drop a bit here into this support at 1565 and then has bounced back up. Now with this one, it looks like the momentum may still be to the downside and we could get a move like that. So right now, I'm not totally bullish on this. I would stay neutral here. And the decision really would be based on the 1600 level. If price stays below 1600, I would look for a further drop towards 1565 and then potentially 1550. But for now, we'll have to see how this goes. But if it does go through this 1600 level, then we could see price go all the way into the high. So that's why this level here, 1600 level, is very important for gold. So right now, bias is neutral. Oil here, oil is still trading into the lows here. And according to the reports here, we are seeing that the OPEC countries are actually increasing production. Russia is not going to increase production. And we are seeing that all the storage facilities for the oil reservoirs are actually getting quite full. They are almost at capacity. So that is going to create problems for oil. So right now, bias is still to the downside, but it's trading in a range, but it looks weak at this point. So we could see a further drop in oil here. So we could see something like this, and target here is 18. So bias is bearish, but again, we have to be cautious here because we are into lows, 30-year lows or something like that, or sorry, 18-year lows. So if price does not break below this 21 level, we could see price bounce back up. So bias is bearish. Just be cautious of this 21 level. Copper here, price is back into this range. We see that price wasn't able to go through the resistance, and now we did see a nice bearish candle close. So I am looking for price to drop into 2.09, and then should it go through that level, we're looking at 2.07. So bias is bearish for copper. Bitcoin here. Bitcoin has been all over the place. We see a bullish candle close here. So price has gone through this level, the open that we saw on Sunday. And now this one is looking bullish. It's holding above here. So if it continues to hold above 6,500, we could see price go into 6,950. So for now, bias is bullish, but again, with caution here because it's just going back and forth for the time being. S&P 500, we were looking for a drop. We got that right into our support level, in fact. So bias is still bearish here in terms of a pullback. 2520 could be a good level for a pullback here, and then a further drop. So bias is bearish. 2400 is the first target here. And should it go through that, we're looking at 2360. So bias is bearish for S&P 500. Nasdaq, same thing. We had a nice pin bar here. We were looking for a drop. It's right into our second target, actually. So bias is still bearish. And in terms of our targets, now we could see a pullback into 7630 level. So that's something to watch out for, or a shallower pullback into 7570 level, and then a drop. So something like this, or potentially higher into this 76, 75 level. So that's what we have to watch out for. But overall, bias remains to the downside. First target is 7320, and then 7135 here, or even 7150, I would say. 7150. So 7320 and 7150. So bearish bias for Nasdaq. Dow Jones, same thing here. We saw a drop, and bias is still bearish here. Now we could get a pullback into 21,350 before it drops. So bearish bias, and next target here is 20,600, or even 20,400. Below that, looking at 20,000. So bias is bearish for Dow Jones. DAX here, we finally saw a break below this support level. Price had been trading in this range for a while, and now we have a close below that level. So bias is bearish here. Now we could get a pullback into 9530, and then a drop here. So 9080 is the first target. Should it go through that, we are looking at 8820. So bearish bias for DAX. FTSE here, same thing. Price is right into our support level here, but as we can see, it has dropped through this level at 5450. So bearish bias here, and we could get a pullback into 5450, or even potentially a little bit higher into 5500 here, and then looking for a drop. So bearish bias. First target is 5230. And then below that, we have 5150. So bearish bias for FTSE. And last but not least, we have Nikkei. Nikkei dropped quite a bit, actually, right into our second support here. And it's pulling back into this 17,920. It could go a little higher into 18,080 level here before it drops. So do watch out for that. But basically, I am looking for a further drop here. So bias is bearish. Now, in terms of our targets here, first target is 17,300, and then we have 16,800. So bias is bearish here for Nikkei. All right, so that's it for today. Guys, have a wonderful trading day tomorrow, and I'll be back again tomorrow night. Bye for now.